Hey, everybody remember the good old days of TNA wrestling? I mean, TNA, I was a huge TNA fan. I was still watching WWE, but TNA was my favorite. Right now, I'm currently watching WWE and AEW. I can't get enough of AEW. They have good wrestlers. My favorite wrestler from AEW is Lance Archer. But TNA wrestling was really good back in the day. My favorite character from TNA, I followed his whole career, Judas Messias. He went up against what's his name? Abyss. Abyss was another one of my favorites until I saw Judas Messias. So then I kind of gave up on Abyss because it turns out Abyss is actually like they had a big segment where they had a big segment where they found out that the Abyss is actually the guy who was pretending to be his brother, but it turns out Abyss was what's his name, I forget. But Judas Messias was one of my favorite wrestlers from TNA. We all know Sting was in TNA. Sting just announced he signed a contract with AEW. But TNA was my world back then. I watched TNA more than WWE. I was more into TNA wrestling. And Judas Messias, you all remember Judas Messias, right? You all remember him. He's the guy with the white eyes from TNA, and blood would pour out of his mouth, and he'd eat the barbed wire. He'd just friggin' eat it. I just decided to get a tattoo of Judas Messias, even though the character only lasted in TNA. It's my tribute to TNA. To TNA Wrestling. I'm going to get Judas Messias tattooed. I am announcing this now. I am going to get Judas Messias tattooed to show my love for the TNA wrestling world. I'm so happy Sting is now in AEW. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm a Lance Archer fan. And I have a good friend who is also a big wrestling fan. He watches the pay-per-views. And I just miss the good old days of TNA, you know? Wow, those were the days. Remember Sharky? Remember Sharky? He'd always try to sound like Stone Cold Steve Austin. When TNA was like, I think that was their competition. Then Shark Boy decided to make himself like act in the style of Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? But anyway, my look back at TNA wrestling. I think that's what I'll call this video. My look back at TNA wrestling. I still love TNA wrestling.